As Hugo just mentioned, we would like to welcome back our live stream audience who are currently watching from all over the country. As we continue on here, I want to talk about Darren Steele and his leadership. USA wrapped up a bobsled in support of Project Play, taking a visible lead in promoting sports sampling. So I'd like to invite Darren to the stage now to give us an update on the Association of Chief Executives for Sports 2018 Project Play Champion Commitment. Darren?
Thank you. I'm Darren Steele, former CEO for USA Bobsled and Skeleton, and a member of ACES, the Association of Chief Executives for Sport. Last year, we shared that ACES launched an effort to drive the adoption of policies and practices that promote sports sampling among youth, using the Project Play guidelines for national sport organizations as a guide. And in 2018, we had 11 organizations that signed on to the initiative, many of which were national governing bodies or national sport organizations. In 2019, I'm pleased to report that we have more than doubled the number of organizations participating in that initiative and tripled the number of original boxes checked, detailing the commitments to further programs and policies that support multi-sport participation or opportunities. We're pleased to further this important work and hope many more of you will join us in promoting sports sampling within your organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. So last year, Project Play partnered with Hospital for Special Surgery to release Healthy Sport Index. It's a tool to assess the relative benefits and risks of participating in the most popular youth sports. So Healthy Sport Index has launched a national search to identify exemplary and innovative high school sports teams that model best practices for developing healthy athletes. I now would like to invite Laura Robbins, the Senior Vice President for Global and Academic Affairs at Hospital for Special Surgery, to announce the first winner.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here today to join with all of you together as we advance the agenda to make sports safe for kids, fun for kids, and healthy for kids. We heard a lot today about healthy kids, and we addressed a lot of the emotional and social components. But there's another component that we believe does not get enough attention, and that's the physical component. HSS is a world-leading academic center focused on musculoskeletal health. And is the Hospital for Special Surgery and many offices around the country. HSS has been advancing musculoskeletal health for over 156 years when it was founded during the Civil War to take care of children who had bone and joint conditions, who were left homeless during the Civil War. So it's normal for us to be focusing on kids and making sure that they get the care they need. For these reasons, HSS is committed to working with the Aspen Institute and Project Play. As you heard, we've been a sponsor of the Healthy Sports Index and also have committed to a multi-year pledge through 2025 to advance the mission of impacting positive ways to keep kids healthy and happy when playing sports. For those of you who are not familiar with the Healthy Sports Index, I know it's been mentioned several times today, but it is an index that provides health data for physical activity, safety, social, emotional, and mental well-being, and a tool that was developed for parents. It is also useful in a couple of other ways, including recommending list of companion sports, which is consistent with Project Play's 2020 priorities of sports sampling. HSS has been proud to have been able to provide this tool for parents, and it can be found on the Project Play website. There's also a Project Play Parents resource on the website as well. The other way the Sports Index helps is that you can read about other sports that kids can play also at the website. Today, I am proud to announce that we have made this multi-year commitment and are announcing the first high school that was identified as an exemplary model to encourage physical activity, minimize injury risk, and support athletes' emotional, social, and mental well-being. The winner of the first Healthy Sports Index contest is the American Heritage School in Plantation, Florida, for their approach to safe play for football. We all know the facts about football and the on-the-field injuries. This school was chosen for their approach to reducing injuries during practice and competitive games while encouraging sports play. American Heritage tackles at practice about 4 times a year, a model the school has been using for 7 years in an effort to potentially reduce injuries that occur when kids fall to the ground. This approach is markedly different than many other high schools and youth programs and is being adopted in highly competitive football state. American Heritage has multiple state champions with this model. American Heritage also requires its coaches, it's mandatory, to take courses in concussion management, handling heat illnesses, and things like sudden cardiac arrest. Coaches practice their venue-specific emergency action plan at least once a year and receive reminders from the school's full-time athletic trainer during the season. The school's athletic trainer consistently monitors the weather. Water breaks occur every 10 minutes on the hottest days. And there's also an ice tub ready on the field or right outside the nearby locker every day to prevent heat stroke. And the head coach is committed to and pays special attention to giving players a positive emotional experience. American Heritage School coach is the former NFL player, Pat Surtain. Unfortunately, Patton couldn't be here today, but we do have a short video.
Hey, what's up? This is Coach Pat Surtain from American Heritage and Plantation. And I want to thank the Aspen Institute for recognizing my school as the Healthy Sports Index winner for this year. It's a great honor. We try to do things the right way. Sorry I couldn't be there today, so I'm sending this message. My thanks for me, my coaching staff, and all of the family and friends that support American Heritage Plantation.
HSS, along with Project Play and the Aspen Institute, will continue to identify winners in 16 additional schools through 2020. We are looking for innovative high school teams that model best practices for developing healthy athletes. And we need your help to identify those schools and encourage you to nominate a team at as.pn/HSI contest. There's also forms outside. So let's continue to work together to keep all kids healthy and safe while playing sports. Thank you.
Congratulations again to Coach Pat Surtain and his team at American Heritage School. All right, our final conversation today is a good one. It's a perfect opportunity to reflect on our theme of Don't Retire Kid. We will speak with Detroit Lions running back C.J. Anderson to reflect on what he learned in youth sports. And I would now like to invite Pat Forty to the stage to lead this conversation. Pat and C.J., welcome.
Thank you very much, Cassidy. Great to be with you all today. Super happy to be joined by C.J. Anderson, running back for the Detroit Lions, and personally, as somebody who grew up as a Denver Bronco fan, watching C.J. help them win the Super Bowl a few years ago and score the clinching touchdown in that game. This is a bit of a thrill for me, so thank you. I will say also, he's actually not the biggest star in his family. His 5-month-old daughter, Kaylani, is that the name? Is out there somewhere, I think, and if you get a chance to see her, you'll probably be more impressed with her than with us up here. But anyway, we want to talk about, this is a guy who has done an awful lot on the football field, but you're going to find out how much he's done off it. Been really just a great boost to youth sports in the Bay Area in California, and put an incredible amount of energy into that. But first of all, I just want to thank you for your time, CJ, because you're in the NFL season. You're undefeated with the Lions so far.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, clap up for that. Hard to win in the league, trust me.
Tuesdays are the day off, and so to spend part of it here is very good for you. So tell me about a Tuesday day off and how your body feels as a running back at this point.
Body's okay. It's
Yep.
week 2, so it's kind of early. Usually, I go in the facility early morning, do different recovery things such as like hot tub, cold tubs, cryotherapy, float tanks, chiropractors. And then, obviously, foundation calls come in on Tuesday. With a bunch of our different partners, different tech companies that we have partnerships with, like Google and DocuSign, et cetera. So talk to them about future plans for our kids and our youth. And then tonight, somewhere around 7 o'clock, I'll be getting ready for the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend. So
Very good. Yeah.
so it's a long Tuesday. It's never really a day off.
Yeah,
It's
even
a day
the day,
off, but
the days off aren't
there's
days
no
off.
running around. That's it. No sweating.
Well, obviously this is a lot centered around youth sports here, this discussion. And what was your journey through youth sports like growing up in Vallejo, California?
So I grew up inner city kid. Me, 2 brothers, just my mom and my grandma. Never knew my father. And youth sports for us was not only a way out, but it was just a way to stay out of trouble, stay off the streets. My uncle, who lived in our house, sold drugs, then eventually did drugs. I had 4 different drug raids through my house growing up because of my uncle. At one point, I think me and my brother, we were the youngest, but at one point everybody was arrested on the curve, not telling on my uncle, but we all knew what my uncle did. I do remember when the cops tried to get me and my little brother to talk and spill on some things that my uncle was doing in the house, but our community about the police and things was what was told to me when I was young. It's completely different when I tell kids now, obviously. So, growing up, youth sports was a way out. I had some good coaches who were father figures who are still I'm tight and close with today. Talk to them before every start of season, talk to them throughout the season. Still check on them because they're still coaching, whether it's youth or high school, still talk to them too. So, I enjoyed my time with all 3 sports, football, basketball, baseball.
Sure. With the amount of, I guess, kind of chaos that was around you, how did you manage to avoid it and make your way through?
I think I had a great foundation. It takes a village. Something I'm trying to do with my daughter is it takes a village to raise kids in a certain environment and let them know that they're bigger and better than that environment. I think I had a strong foundation that started off with my mom and my grandma. I seen my mom and my grandma work hard for everything that they wanted to get in life. And then my mom passed that down to me and my brothers. And from there, it was, the Coach Welch's or the Marcellus Holmes, the Coach Brooks, the Coach Turners, who made sure I stayed on track. Now, obviously, we all were kids at one point. We all veered off just a little bit, but I never veered off enough where, it took me down a different path like some friends I have.
Sure. How old were you? In what ways did they start taking an interest in you and at what age, your coaches?
Well, Coach Welch was my first coach that I can fully remember. I was about 7, playing junior Pee Wee football for the Vallejo Raiders at the time. I was trying to play receiver because I was a big fan of Tim Brown. And then he said, you know what, we're going to move you back to running back. And that's kind of how that worked. And then it was things like sleepovers with Keith Welch, who actually does good work for our foundation, but his son, but going to his house for sleepovers, staying in his house day before games. He also had a mom and a dad in the house, so seeing that interaction, seeing the love from there, and then getting the love from Coach Welch, and then moved down to Coach Holmes, which is the same way he was on that staff too, but eventually becoming my high school coach also. Coach Holmes and his son, Tavier Holmes, me and him was real tight. So it was just, and 2 parents in that household too. I think it was kind of seeing those things, getting the love from those father figures, checking on me, checking on my grades, making sure everything is right. Not just coaching me on football, but taking things off the field and then impacting me a lot more.
Sure. Were you at all resentful or sad that you didn't have that male parent in the home?
Nah, when I reflect back on it, it never really bothered us. One thing I can pride my mom on, she never really talked bad about my dad. She never really said anything about my dad. The only thing she said was, if he doesn't want to be here, then, we got to move on. The world still spins. That was kind of her motto. The world still spins. So that's kind of how we took it. We were a tight-knit family. Even with my uncle doing some of crazy things that he was doing, you know, the selling the drugs and the different cops knocking on our door and, you know, or hiding people in our house away from cops, different things that I've seen growing up. We were still tight and close to him, you know, for some, I guess you could say some odd reason. Now, I do want to say this and clear this up. My uncle has been out the game and clean for, I think this is 12 years now. So, you know, it's live, so we got to clap it up for my uncle. You know, my uncle is completely 360 and changed his life around and, you know, in our lives, in my nieces and nephew, obviously in my daughter's life. But, you know, I just think not having that dad made us stronger in different areas as a family.
Sure, sure. So your mother must have been an extraordinary person, huh?
Yeah, her and my grandma, they're the backbone.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
We wouldn't know what to do without them.
Absolutely. So you dove into sports. Did you play everything when you were younger?
So I started off with football. It was fun. Then I got into basketball when I was about 10 or 11. I wish I would have gotten that till a little earlier, seeing the contracts going on a day. And then I got into baseball at the same time. And then being an inner city kid and my mom not having enough, now it's you know, my older brother's 9 years older than me, so he was done with sports. My little brother's 3 years younger than me, so it's me and him at the same time. My mom couldn't pay for all of us to play all three sports at the same time, so baseball ended up dropping about the time I was 12, 13, to just play football and basketball. Same with my little brother, we just stick to play football and basketball, and then that went through high school and obviously football, college, and now in the league. So.
Right. Worked in some track too, right, in high school?
Yeah, I did a little track in high school. I did a little track when I was younger too.
Yeah, okay.
This is funny to say this. I didn't like running.
Is that right?
Yeah.
A running back who doesn't like running. How's that possible?
It was no purpose. You know, I was.
Nobody was chasing you, right?
I guess that was the thing, like, you know, or no one was side to side when I was running next to him. I was trying to figure out why I'm always in front. When I was younger, so I was fast, and that's what it was. So that sport wasn't competitive to me. So
Really?
I got out of that.
Correct me, I think state champion at least in a sprint or two. I think I saw.
Not me.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay. All right. Never mind. That's okay. So, how did you balance multiple sports and going to school and everything else? The home life and everything. How'd you manage it all?
I think one, so it was a Boys and Girls Club growing up in Vallejo, California. It was open for 52 years. My mentor, Fillmore Graham, who passed away of Alzheimer's. Fillmore used to, when I got to the club, Fillmore used to take my football away. I was one of those kids who walked around with the football every day. Fillmore was one of those guys who take my football away and say, do a book report. I remember that when I was 8. So, gave me a simple, easy book. It wasn't Cat in the Hat, but I'm just going to say Cat in the Hat. But it just think of somewhere on that line. It's a real simple book. Read the book, gave it back to him, got my football back. Got a little older, now I'm in middle school, take my football again, tell me do a book report. I do the book report now, but when I get the report back, because I didn't get no football back, so I was trying to figure out why I didn't get my football. I get the report back, there's grammatical errors and, synthesis fragments and, different errors on that report that I didn't understand. And I think that was one way to get my mind stimulated for academics. That was kind of how I balanced that. Home life was home. We couldn't change that.
Yeah.
We had to be in the house before the street lights was on. Obviously, it was, violence, gang violence and drugs and things like that. We couldn't change that. But Fillmore Graham let me know that I can change that perspective. So, it's kind of like with my foundation, when I do with my kids today. Our kids are going through some of the same situations that I grew, if not, far crazier than what I grew up in. And I think having that village and having that mentor, Mr. Graham was that guy for me, and that's what I'm trying to do for my kids.
Yeah. And now, I'm sure you grew up watching professional football, college football, perhaps, and maybe, the name of the foundation, Dreams Never Die, and you had your own dreams. Did you dream of what football or sports could do for you?
Yeah. My mom always said, if you dream big, go big. If you get big, you know how to handle it because you dreamed it when you were younger. I see a lot of people with success that doesn't, I ain't gonna say misuse it, but doesn't handle it the correct way.
Right.
Maybe, and part of that, I just take back that teaching what my mom gave me. Now, obviously, this is my mom's perspective, but I take that teaching that my mom gave me that maybe they wasn't ready to handle success because they didn't think they were going to be successful when they were young. That's something that my mom instilled in me and my brothers when we were younger. And taking that, taking that model and taking that success definitely helped me today.
There you go. And then you start, you're a successful athlete and you're starting to be recruited. What was that process like in choosing a college and that sort of thing for you?
So the recruitment process was fun, to be honest.
Yeah.
I did a lot of traveling, a lot of trips. It was one trip particular when I went down to Miami. Too much fun. And
The first person to say that.
and that was kind of the knock on the head from that, and then talking to old coaches like Coach Holmes, like Coach T, who's my high school coach, Jeff Turner, and then also talking to Fillmore Graham. They were asking me about the trip, and I was giving them so many details about the fun part.
Yeah.
No details about the school and the academics, the football program, and things of that nature. And that's when my mentor said, you know what, being too far from home is not good for you. And I kind of took that, personally, like, I'm a grown man, I can handle it. One of those prideful issues that some of us men have. And but he actually was right. He actually was totally correct. He was right. And when I made the decision to go to UC Berkeley, that really changed over everything, and that kind of what started the foundation and so on.
Gotcha. Yeah, and obviously, yes, and the career went from there. Great career at Cal Berkeley with the Golden Bears, and then on into the NFL. But all the while, you have been passionately invested in your foundation and in youth sports. Tell us, if you can, overview of what your foundation does.
So just briefly, Dreams Never Die. We provide inner city youth with resources outside of athletics and outside of athletics and entertainment. Which means we don't drop youth sports. I'm gonna explain a whole lot about the foundation on the sports side here in a minute, but the reason why we wanted to start that way, because when you look at my city, it's myself, it's Jeff Gordon, it's CC Sabathia, it's E40, it's Mac Dre. It's a lot of rappers, even her, the artist her, Gabby Williams. It's a lot of artists in the R&B or rap entertainment, or it's a lot of athletes, whether that's NASCAR or baseball or football. There's a lot of athletes who are successful. Kids think because I won a Super Bowl ring, that makes me successful. Kids think because myself and CC Sabathia, you can see our contracts publicly, that makes us successful. Same with E40, and Gabby, and that's not true. So what we wanted to start it with, with the academics and tech side. So obviously being in Vallejo, California, we're not too far from San Francisco. The first company that reached out to us was DocuSign that wanted to help us, which was great. I'm pretty sure everybody knows DocuSign and when they hit IPO in April and all those good things. But after that, it just trickled down. I went from Harvard, went from Google, then from Google, Twitch, YouTube, Microsoft. If I can pull out my phone, I can read you about 25, 35 different partnerships. But everybody in Silicon Valley that you can possibly think of on the tech world, on the Facebook, Apple, on the biggest side, we have a personal partnership with. And then as far as universities, there's Harvard, there's MIT, there's UC Berkeley, San Francisco State, Sonoma State, UC Santa Cruz, UC Riverside, Santa Barbara, and so on, that we have partnerships with to get our kids a different opportunity and different looks. We have 2 robotic companies that we're working with to give them opportunities. So, once we got them on board, then we put programs together, which was great. And we just had our summer programs this past summer. It was 124 kids I was supposed to sign up. 100 signed up. Really successful. Took tech trips to Google, took Exploratorium, DocuSign, which was pretty cool, and LinkedIn. All our kids got to see a different side, different ways to be successful, talking to different CEOs and different execs, different founders. And then once we got those kids grasped, now in 2020, we're starting our youth sports. So we'll start with AAU boys and girls basketball coming in 2020 in the spring. Then we'll go high school football, 7-on-7 in the spring. And then CC Sabathia retires this year. So in 2021, we'll do baseball, softball, then we'll add the middle school sports. And then every year, we'll add a sport and then add the middle school sports right under it. So the 7 sports that we're going to start with in the next 7 to 8 years or so will be football, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, soccer, and golf. So we understand, and back in my community where I'm from, there's not a lot of youth sports going on. And youth are getting to different things. And, you only know what you know. So our kids didn't know about San Francisco, California, that was up the highway, to change their mind and their perspective academically or with technology. All they know is sports and entertainment. So if they don't hit sports and entertainment, then a lot of them revert back to the streets. You know, they got an uncle like I did, or they have a cousin or a brother who are influencing them to do different things in their house that's not the right way. So first we just tried to get them in a different way. And then now when we bring the sports in coming up in 2020, hopefully we can get a lot of kids and have a lot of fun.
It's interesting. So you're to a degree doing what your mentor did. You're taking the ball away from them at first, saying we're going to do academics here first. And what's the reception been? I mean, people enthusiastic?
Oh, they're excited. They're super excited. I mean, the whole ultimate goal is, which we're in a negotiations conversation with this group called the Nimitz Group, building a 60,000 square foot facility right on Mare Island in my hometown. We can bring all these resources into one big facility. We're talking multiple baseball fields, multiple soccer and football fields mixed in, multiple baseball and softball fields mixed in, talking about basketball courts, and then we're talking about our academic side as far as classrooms, robotic programs, tech programs, that we're getting from DocuSign, Google, gaming programs that we're getting from Twitch and Ubisoft. So we're taking this 60,000 square foot facility and building it, and then the rehabilitation center, with cryotherapy and infrared saunas, and trying to teach, young athletes how to take care of your body at a young age. So, because I didn't know nothing about those things until I got to UC Berkeley in my 20s. If we can teach these kids early, at a very young age, our programs run from 7 to 17. So if we can teach these kids at 7 years old, hopefully that's something they can adapt and grab, and don't hit the ball so late like I did when I got older.
Sure. And so, yes, as you're diving in here into youth sports, what do you see as the state of youth sports that you've experienced?
In our community, I only can speak for us. It's tough, for everyone. Like, I know the Snoop League is down in the Bay Area, and they're doing really successful. In our community, like I said, it's lacking. So, you grab somebody with a platform like myself, who can give these kids a voice and give these kids a different outlook, whether that's, the kid who want to be a robot, want to be the next, CEO like Bill Gates, or the kid who wants to be the next Steph Curry. You want to find a balance for both of them. When it comes to youth sports, for us in our community, it's just getting the kids, fundamentally sound, teaching them the right way, giving them some of the highest coaches. No disrespect to my coaches, like the Marcellus Holmes and the Jeff Turners, and really great coaches, but we're trying to get them, a lot of these kids have dreams of playing at the next level, so let's give them next level coaching, like myself on football, or CeCe Sabathia, or some of the Golden State Warriors like Draymond Green and Steph Curry, who's helping me, Andre Iguodala, who's helping me with the basketball side. So, you take those, or you take like a girl named Kendall Core who played Division I softball, who will be running my softball program. You take those things so you can give those kids and pass them down and let them know that, these people came from an environment just like you did, no matter what part of the state that was in, or what part of the world that was in. I'm sorry. Yep. But these kids came in, these adults are teaching these kids with, who have the similar background, similar stories, who can relate to them, and then hopefully, we can push them to whatever their dreams may be.
Right. And you've even invested your time to help coach youth league teams, have you not, at this
point?
point?
Yeah. So I do 7-on-7 down in Texas with the organization, nonprofit called All In. Had a lot of fun with them for 2 years. I'm leaving them this year because I'm starting my own 7-on-7, obviously, next year. So I had to learn to understand the organization and learn about 7-on-7 and different tournaments. Obviously, like Cam Newton helped me a lot because he has his big 7-on-7. Mike Evans is another one from the Buccaneers. So I learned from a lot of guys around the league, too. And then when I actually got in it was pretty fun.
Gotcha. Then you, I guess, at least one little bit heated altercation for one of the games there. What did that maybe lesson or tell you about dealing with youth sports situations like that?
I think, the altercation I had with the ref, the shouting match back and forth, one, I think is letting the kids know, like, I got their back no matter what. Yeah. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I got their back no matter what. Then I'll turn them around and tell them if they're wrong or right, during that moment. But I think at the time, it was letting the kids know, like, it needs to be fair. Just because we're playing in a certain community, or we're playing a certain style of kids, or, I don't like to make it a race thing, but you're playing a privileged community or a privileged kids doesn't mean that, when they do something wrong, and the ref don't say nothing, we're just supposed to sit back and take it. So it was kind of one of those situations that happened. You know, thank God it cleared up, obviously. I got the coach the next day. It was fun. We took third in that tournament. But it was just letting the kids know, like, just because where you come from, just because someone might label you or stereotype, as soon as you walk through the door, doesn't mean that's you. So, you know, understand that. Of course, you got to play the game a certain way, but understand that and, you know, protect yourself.
Right, okay. Then do you think there's, you know, kind of almost a circular benefit? I mean, you did not grow up easy, but you got what you needed out of your upbringing, you know, emotionally, educationally, and financially now. Do you think that maybe that upbringing actually helped make you want to get back into the community?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at my mentor, Fillmore Graham, who obviously I miss dearly. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional. But obviously who I miss dearly. I look at what he did, you know, jumping into different neighborhoods in my community that didn't get along, bringing me and a couple other friends from different neighborhoods together, whether my neighborhood didn't like his neighborhood for whatever reason that our elders back in the day had some problems with each other. Him grabbing us and putting us together, I think that was special. And, you know, when he passed away and the Boys and Girls Club died, you know, I went back home. I went back by the Boys and Girls Club, and before the Boys and Girls Club was officially closed, I just seen the lack of participation and the lack of kids that were in there. And I just know how much that Boys and Girls Club impacted me and my brother's life and so many other friends that I have. You know, we kind of looked at each other and said, you know, we can do the same thing. You know, we have the platform. Obviously, you know, we can get to the resources. You know, we needed a lot of help on the way. We got a great team. So I think those are the things that made me see and grasp. And then from there it was like, okay, now how do we do it? So we got to take the sports completely out of it first to let these kids know that education is important. Obviously, you will not, you know, I won't be in a position today if I didn't go to UC Berkeley and had a 3.8, or if I didn't, you know, go to Laney College with a 3.8, or if I didn't, you know, even at high school when I had a 2.2, you know, just those things. You know, I had to be eligible to stay on the field and things of that nature. And then from there, you know, we added the youth, you know, we added some of the programs that were fun, you know, art, gaming, you know, robotics, that made a lot of kids who play sports didn't know they had some of those hidden talents. And now when you bring the sports to them, it's, you know, you're rolling out the red carpet.
Yeah, it's great. And then I guess just in closing, the theme here, obviously, don't retire, kid.
Yeah.
We want kids to stay involved in youth sports. What would you say to young people out there about why being in youth sports was such an important thing?
Well, youth sports is important for a lot of things. I mean, just, you know, to never give up. You know, that's one thing it taught me, teamwork, you know, brotherhood or sisterhood, you know, whatever sport that may be. That's another thing. You seem to talk to your coaches more than you talk to your parents. And what I try to tell the adults in youth sports, because it's us as adults who make the youth sports fun. It's us as adults who make the youth want to come back, make the parents want to bring them back. It's us as coaches to continue to talk to the parents and have a rapport with them. You know, don't look at it as a parent like you're babysitting. You drop your kids off and then you leave and then you come back for 2 hours and your kids run around. Like, actually get involved, because, you know, when they start 7, 8, 9, you know, when we get them when they're young, you know, we got that rapport with the parents and we're grooming them, we're teaching them. But then when we get them around middle school and high school, as they get older and as they take their sports a lot more serious, you know, then college coaches and different things start coming around, different opportunities start to come up. And now that's when us as coaches have to be a lot more involved with the parents in that realm, to let them know that their kid has an opportunity to go to any school at any level, you know, to play their respective sport and have a great education behind it.
Okay, well said. And got to say, C.J. Anderson, a great, great attribute to the National Football League and all the communities he is a part of. So, Jim, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you again to CJ for your candor and all the work that you do for our youth. And you are a shining example of don't just talk about it, be about it. I was gonna make some, silly joke about like, yes, it's Tuesday, it's your off day from the NFL, but you never have an off day from a 5-month-old. But she hasn't made a peep. She is listening intently
asleep
to
right
her
now,
dad,
but
front row during the whole time.
She's a good baby.
Yeah.
A good baby.
As a mother of a 9-month-old, I'm a little jealous, but it's okay. Thank you again, and also Pat. Thank you so much for running a great conversation there.
Thank you. I think we can go.
All right, now I would like to invite Doug Vandeveld. He's the general manager of the U.S. cereal at Kellogg's to join me on stage to announce a new partnership with Project Play. Doug?
Thanks, Cassidy. That was awesome. CJ. Hey, it's a big honor to be here today. At the Kellogg Company, we really admire the work of the Aspen Institute and all of the companies here today that work with Project Play to really help every child have the opportunity to contribute and learn through sport. At our company, we've got a long history of being committed to families and helping families flourish and thrive. And within the company, nowhere is that more evident than our long-standing Frosted Flakes brand, where our team and Tony the Tiger has always been about helping kids have the opportunity to play like tigers. CJ mentioned the value of youth sports, and especially middle school sports, where kids learn the value of teamwork. They learn how to try their best and go all in. They learn how much fun it is to play with their friends and for their school. All of this builds confidence, and all of this fuels their potential. But sadly, as a lot of you in this room know, middle school sports are struggling. They're being defunded in a lot of states. They're disappearing in a lot of cases. And too many kids, as a result of that, are losing their opportunity to play. Our concern about this is not just as business leaders, but as parents and as individuals who care greatly about the well-being of our society. This is a real problem. So that's why we're very proud to be here today to announce our new partnership with the Aspen Institute to help examine and expand opportunities for schools to run successful, sustainable sports programs. So today in our partnership, we're announcing something we call Reimagining Middle School Sports Contest. So we look forward to working with the Aspen Institute and many experts in this room to develop the criteria to evaluate what it means, what it takes to have a successful middle school sports program. And then our goal is to announce a national contest where we'll select and promote the best of those models, and we'll announce all of that here next year. So we're really excited about this, and this builds on a campaign that we launched earlier this summer called Mission Tiger. Bottom line, the disappearance of middle school sports is a real problem, and Tony the Tiger is on a mission to help save middle school sports. We started all this last month with $1 million donation through our partner Donors Choose to help provide critical resources to athletic programs at middle schools all around the country. Whether a full team has been cut, or a team just needs new uniforms, or new equipment, or new bleachers, we want Mission Tiger to be there to help provide that funding. And we've seen a great response already to date. A lot of schools and a lot of kids are already benefiting. And we really feel like this is a real issue where we can make a real difference in society. And Tony is inviting consumers to join in as well. Every box of Frosted Flakes that consumers buy, another $1 can be donated to this important cause. So while we think this is a great step, we know this is a big problem. And it's going to demand the energy and enthusiasm of anyone and everyone who's willing to help. So we're excited to join the Project Play team. We're eager to do what we can to help encourage kids to get in the game and stay in the game. We look forward to learning from all of you and sharing our learnings along the journey, and together help create a world where any kid who wants to play sports can play sports, and where every kid has the chance to play like a tiger. Thanks very much.
Staying active is really important. Obviously, tennis has given me a lot in my life, and instead of being at home on the couch playing video games, I was able to meet new people, see the world just through tennis. Being able to share that and show kids that being active and outside and playing sports and hanging out with friends is really cool. I think that's really important to really pass that message along, that it's a lifelong journey.
Visit projectplay.us to give sports back to kids.
Make sure you continue using that hashtag. I'm hearing that we have been trending nationwide today, so that's pretty awesome. I just want to thank everyone, including our live stream audience, for an inspiring day one. For those watching on the live stream, we'll be back at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. And then for those of you here in Detroit, we encourage you to arrive a little early tomorrow to the summit before our main programming begins, because at 8:45, we will share a video exploring how Norway is a model on how to raise happy and healthy children through sport. Still worth seeing, even though Chris Webber says we're better than Norway in sports. I'm telling you, it's still worth coming and seeing it. Now, make sure to please join us in the Ambassador Foyer right outside this room for a reception. You guys have all earned a nice drink. And don't forget to take your photo again with your advice for kids to post on social media using that hashtag. Don't retire kid. Let's keep it trending. And I hope you all have a great night. See you tomorrow.